Hello, everyone. It is Green Party Tea Sunday. It's so nice to be on YouTube where we can be unfiltered and talk about the things that are relevant to us without having to censor our language all the time. Even though there are some censorship things that go on, it is definitely not as bad as TikTok. So, we are going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to me. Um, as you know, previously, when I was doing the show on TikTok, we talked about a lot of things that were going on in the Green Party tea because Green Party tea is about spilling the tea regarding the Green Party and dispelling misinformation so that people kind of understand what the Green Party is, what we represent, and how to get involved. So, that being said, this is going to be a kind of different format for today because this is the first time I'm doing this on YouTube. So I am feeling a little different, I guess you could say. And hopefully I'll have some other things happening in the near future. Well, it'll get better. So my apologies, deal with me as I go along with that. So this is going to be the 4 pillars in shutdown time because as we know, we're going through those times. So my name is Kalia Fitzgerald. I am the host of Green Party Tea. And we are going to go ahead and start talking about the shutdown as symptoms and opportunity. So, again, welcome to all of my friends and fellow citizens, Green Party members to Green Party Tea. We are broadcasting live during what has become a profound and painful breakdown of our governance, the second longest government shutdown in U.S. history. While politicians posture and play games with people's lives, we're here to talk about real solutions. What we are witnessing is not a political dispute. It is a symptom of a system that no longer serves the people. It is a system that, as we've seen, can be exploited as an unprecedented opportunity to reconfigure power against the public good. So tonight we will explore how the Green Party's 4 pillars, peace, ecology, social justice, and democracy, are not just philosophical ideas. They are a practical, moral blueprint for navigating this crisis and for building a future where such cruel and unnecessary crises are impossible. So, we're going to talk about peace, the cost of endless war at home. So, that is our first pillar. So, we're going to begin there. Peace. We declare that our country's long wars and worldwide military presence are immoral and unsustainable, and that our military budget must be cut dramatically. This shutdown reveals the brutal hypocrisy of our national priorities. Consider this: while 800,000 federal employees face missed paychecks and nutrition programs for low income families are pushed to the brink, the Department of Defense is largely insulated. It has tapped into other funds to ensure its operations continue. Let me be clear. The machinery of war is being funded while the machinery of care is being dismantled. The Pentagon budget consumes more than half of all federal discretionary spending. Yet when a crisis hits, it's the domestic programs, the food assistance, the environmental protection, the public health monitoring that are sacrificed first. This is a fundamental moral failure. When we talk about cutting military spending, We're talking about reinvesting in true security, like food stability, healthcare, and the well being of our communities right here at home. Then we're going to talk about protecting our planet in a political crisis. Our second pillar is ecology. We all know the human cost of climate change is too high, and we demand a rapid transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. But during this shutdown, we are witnessing an all out assault on this very principle. While national parks suffer from neglect and essential climate research is halted, the administration has systematically terminated billions in grants for renewable energy projects. This is not a coincidence. It is a calculated move. It aligns perfectly with agendas like Project 2025, which is a detailed plan by conservative think tanks to methodically dismantle environmental protections and defund the very agencies that protect our air and water. So, as the rest of the world moves forward with renewable now overtaking coal as the world's leading source of electricity, we are being dragged backwards. They're using the chaos of this shutdown to advance policies that would be debated in the light of day. This is just bad policy. It is a betrayal of our children's future. Now we're going to move on to the human face of the shutdown. And this brings us to our third pillar, the one that feels the most immediate pain. That's social justice. We demand a living wage, a real safety net, because we know that in times of crisis, the most vulnerable are hit the hardest. This shutdown is a case study in that injustice. Who is suffering? It's the hundreds of thousands of federal employees, from TSA agents to scientists who don't know when their next paycheck will come. It's the government contractors, often lower wage workers who have no guarantee of back pay. It's the 1 in 8 Americans relying on SNAP benefits and the mothers depending on WIC who are facing terrifying uncertainty. So while I was looking into everything that's happening around us, I was actually reading a story about a furloughed EPA employee. There's a woman who has dedicated 12 years to protecting our water quality. She spoke about dipping into her daughter's college savings just to pay the mortgage, and the feeling that her vital work was being treated as disposable. This is the human cost. This is why we fight for a social safety net that cannot be held hostage by political gains. A living wage and strong worker protections are not luxuries. They are the bedrock of a just society. And that leads us to the system is broken. And it also leads us to our foundational pillar, democracy. We demand public financing of elections, open debates, and representative voting systems, because we are seeing now Because what we are seeing now is democracy in name only. This shutdown represents a dangerous expansion of executive power. We see agencies updating their websites to explicitly blame one political party, a blatant use of government resources for political warfare. Constitutional scholars have pointed out that the original concept of a shutdown was meant to enforce fiscal discipline, not to be wielded as a political weapon to reward allies and punish opponents. This is a perversion of our system. When a president can selectively fund and defund programs based on political calculation, we have moved away from a government of, by, and for the people. This is exactly why we need the reforms we champion. When elections are publicly financed, our leaders become responsive to the people, not corporate donors. With more representative voting systems, we break the two-party stranglehold that creates these gridlocked, hostage-taking situations. So I want to take the time with that to expound on what our four pillars are. The first pillar is peace. And when we talk about peace, our country's long wars and worldwide military presence are immoral and unsustainable. Our military budget must be cut dramatically. I mean, I know for myself that if I were unable to pass an audit for not one, not two, but at least 3 years, something would be done before I was able to get more money. And we are not saying cut the military budget that in a way that is going to increase us being vulnerable. We are simply saying this is a fiscal responsibility. And with the fiscal responsibility, any agency that cannot be accountable when there is an audit and they are missing so much money, something has to be done. Because if that money is missing, my thought is the soldiers. These soldiers who you can look up how much pay a soldier gets every single month based on their rank and based on how long they've been in service. You are looking up the cost of their lives on a monthly basis. So if you have these millions of dollars that are going missing, but you can't make up for that, it's no different than having a corporation with a high profit margin who is not offering they're not offering more benefits, more rewards, or raises to their employees. This is that same fiscal responsibility that we have to talk about. So we don't say we do not like the military and our soldiers. I have 2 sons who are off to the military as we speak. However, what we are saying is they should not be drawn into these long wars. They should not have to be the global police. We need to concentrate on things at home, ensure our allies are okay, and most importantly, for those who are committing crimes like Israel, we should not be paying any money to them. If they can afford to have free education, housing, and health care, then why can't we, the citizens of the United States, have those same things? It is not saying that we should not have programs that we are involved in to help other countries that are in need. It is also to say that what real peace is not colonizing by using despicable means to have these places that are so-called needing peace, like Haiti or Congo or Sudan or Palestine. We're not saying that we are going to start giving things over to bad governments or anything like that. The people, just like in a democracy, should be allowed to run the country with the government they select, not a puppet government that is selected by any other government. And we should not use mineral resources as a means to say, okay, we're going to help you out. Genuine peace, genuine prosperity comes from togetherness. So, if we are to bring that peace about, we can do so without means of wars or worldwide military presence. When you think about it, how many military bases from another country are on US soil versus how many US bases are on other soils all around the world? That seems like we are doing too much when we can be doing more at home to bring about peace. Peace should be talked about. Peace can be negotiated. We know it can happen. We've seen it happen. And we are not saying lay down and take anything that happens to you just because it is in the name of peace. We also believe that you have a right to defend yourself against anybody that is coming to take that away from you. And I'm using Israel, Sudan, Congo, and Haiti as examples because in Palestine, you have, excuse me, you have occupied territories, and they continuously violate international law by continuously taking other territories like those in the West Bank. And even though this is illegal, they're not being stopped, but they are being funded from our US tax dollars for defense against occupied people who do not have the same, they don't have a military, they don't have any type of support in terms of what Israel has. So when you see a child throwing a rock at a tank, that is peaceful resistance because that rock will not hurt that tank. But when you see that tank run over that child is now gone from this world. And that is the difference. So when we talk about Congo, we know they have cobalt and coltan, and there are things going on internally within the different government systems that are allowing this to happen. Well, that's why the UAE has become what it is today from Sudan and Congo. That is also why from Congo, Israel has become what it is today. But the people themselves are suffering. If you are getting so much money from these illegally obtained mineral sources, then you are not contributing to the well-being and peace of the people. When over 2 million people are being evacuated from their homes because of fear and danger that they're facing, you have to wonder, what is the peace method that is going on? Who is backing these militias? Because the people deserve to live in peace. There should not be babies as young as 18 months old mining for minerals because they are made to do so. That's not peace. When Congo tried to sue the United States for child labor violations, what did the United States say? We can't do anything over here. It's not our problem. And this was in reference to Apple and Samsung using these minerals and obtaining them illegally. And as much as they say that this is not happening, we can see from the lines of production to where everything is going that it really is happening. So as I sit here on this computer that I have not bought a new one in over I don't know how many years, on I have a phone that I only buy used at this point in time. I have not bought a new phone in probably the last 8 to 10 years. This is what I look at. Is it so worth an 18-month-old child having to go through life digging up mineral materials with barely any resources, using their bare hands, risking contamination, risking some type of bodily harm or anything like that? And when I think about it, is it worth it? Absolutely not. There is famine in Sudan and Palestine. How do you say that's peace when in Palestine and Gaza, they are in this small area surrounded by a wall and only the sea that they can't even fish out of with that without being shot at? That's not peaceful. The sea belongs to no one. So how is that peace? When you won't let aid trucks in to provide provisions for nutrition and hospital items, you are taking away safety nets of people. When there is so much violence happening in Sudan, where people are always having to move and they're never able to stay still, so they can't settle down long enough to get decent food, you are in a famine. And when you are in those stages of famine, it does not just go away because you get to eat 3 meals a day now. That damages your whole system. That is not peaceful. On our last show that we did on TikTok, we talked about different forms of violence and nonviolence. And this is one of those things that you can see is a violence or a nonviolence situation. And what can we do? Well, there are plenty of war machines out there, companies that actually say, hey, we're just going to support all these things going on. If you are not aware, look up BDS or Boycott, Divest, and Sanction. And there are a list of different companies that we are boycotting, divesting, or sanctioning in different ways. And it spells it out to you exactly how we want to do it. Some of them we're just straight up boycott. And some of them we are doing targeted messaging. There are organic boycotts, and there are other things that we have to look at to say, hey, what can I do? Well, if you go out and you like to eat, McDonald's is one of those places that you don't have to go through to eat from. You can go to another eatery, a local eatery, and support your local businesses. And when you do that, you don't put money back into a corporation that's funding violence. So that does help in that one way. And that's nonviolent. That's very non-violent. So those are the things that BDS helps us see. And we can see that, and I always give this example by the bus boycotts that we had during the civil rights movement. When people start losing money, they start to change their minds about things. And that is not doing anything but peacefully saying, I'm not going to give my money towards something that is not going to help all oppressed people. So the second pillar is ecology. And that is the human cost of climate change is too high. We need to get off fossil fuels and onto renewable energy. And we know these things. There are different things that we talk about in ecology and how this can work. And people still debate how that actually does work, believe it or not. But the best part of it is just knowing that it is a possibility for us to actually change from the old methods and use renewable energy. So there was, I cannot remember the exact name of it, but it was in, I think, Fjord, Sweden, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Um, they had the first man made um, break off of an iceberg that caused a huge impact that we didn't really feel, but it was a rippling impact across the world. So this was the first man-made one. And if it's man-made, it's us causing it. When we have these dumpsters and we have these items like plastic items that cannot be recycled or they cannot be reused in any type of way, we have to really look into what we are doing. And I say kudos to places who are taking plastic bags and plastic straws. I really hate the paper straws, by the way, because when they get wet, they're disgusting. But, you know, I think that that is a good way to say, hey, we understand that these things not only are costing our lives, but they're costing lives of wildlife. Um, Too many times you've seen um, plastic bags that you get from the store wrapped around an animal's neck and they can barely breathe. Or you'll see those little ties that they have for a 6-pack can of sodas wrapped around something. It's really nice to see the commercials where, they're using soap to wash off the oil spills. But in my mind, I'm thinking that's not enough. We need to stop the possibility of these oil spills. And another thing, Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. How? How do these politicians get off without having to provide clean water? And that's why we say in the Green Party, we don't have politicians. We actually have public servants because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to service the public. If there is an injustice, if there is a need, we are supposed to be the ones that are actually doing the work to get those needs met because we are asked to represent the people. So, in that same retrospect, when we're talking about how the funding for certain things are happening and EPA employees are getting furloughed, we can see what the protections are. I don't know how many recalls I've seen lately. We had bird flu and chickens in North Carolina, and then there were eggs that were being recalled because of salmonella. It's a lot to have to endure knowing that there's a federal shutdown and a lot more things may be getting missed because there are not people in place to see what is going on. So that brings us to social justice. Falling wages and rising bills are hitting most of us, and the most vulnerable are hit the hardest. We demand a living wage and a real safety net. So when I think about social justice, a lot of people, they hear like vigilante justice and they want Captain America or Batman to come and save the day, but that's not what I hear. What I hear are rights. I hear taking care of the people. I hear doing the best by the people you are having to work for you. So the minimum wage really hasn't changed. And we know that it is going to take at least a $25 an hour minimum wage to look like a living wage. And we don't have that. We're still stuck in the $7 range. And that's not a living wage for people. For all the people that say, well, you should do better, have a better job, and things like that. What I always like to say someone that is in customer service, is that without you, there is no me. So if you're not going to the grocery store to buy anything, I can't be the cashier or the stocker that does the work. Okay. So if there are no stockers or cashiers to monitor things that are going on, you won't be able to shop for groceries. Without you, there is no me. We rely on each other. And we saw during COVID who the real essential workers were. And we cannot fail them now just because we think that COVID is over. It's not. COVID is definitely not over. So we have to still think about the people that you say don't deserve a living wage. If you work at Walmart, they have a whole page dedicated to telling you how to get assistance from the government. Why does the government have to supplement employees instead of the employer paying wages that are livable so they don't have to have government assistance? These are the questions that we need to ask instead of asking the people that are receiving public assistance why they have to have it. Last week, we had a conversation about what it is to be a business owner during these times, like a small business owner. And someone said, if we raise the cost of the living wage, how are the people that are in these small businesses going to last? And my response was, if your business model is to pay the least to your employees and you have a good income from your business where your family is safe, secure, and not worrying about anything, then you have a bad business model. And maybe you shouldn't be in business. Because people that work for you, they are ensuring that you're able to have those luxuries that you have. And when you do not pay them and they hear about these, oh my goodness, these unprecedented profits. Well, what's going on with these unprecedented profits? Do we get a bonus at the end of the year that, the employees get to hash out or anything like that? Or does that go to the shareholders or anybody else? Because even though there are shareholders and then you have the corporate themselves, without the employees, what are you going to do? And these same employees work in the community that they live in for the most part, unless they have to commute. But if you're a small business, you're relying on your community to come back and revisit your business time and time again so that you can continue growing. But if you're not doing anything to help out the community, where do you get off by saying, hey, I shouldn't have to raise these prices or do anything like that, but you want the community to support you? You support the community will support you. You support your employers, your employees, and they will do better because they're not worried about their next rent payment, light bill payment, healthcare, and all these other things. That's the most important part. So as rent prices keep going up and we're not capping these things, we're not getting the minimum wage is not going up based on inflation or anything like that. They have COLA for Social Security. Well, perhaps we need that for the minimum wage because we can't keep up with the demand of higher cost when we are not getting paid higher wages. People that used to be able to do things are no longer able to do those things because of the higher costs that are coming their way. And when that does happen, businesses suffer. So while all these people are like, well, if they don't have SNAP benefits, they shouldn't be on them anyway. They don't know the stories behind these people. They don't know that they could possibly be working 2 full-time jobs and still not making enough to be able to feed their family. So when people say things like that, all they see is the people that need the benefit, but they don't see the people that benefit from those programs as well, such as the farmers, such as the grocery stores, or anything else like that. They are also benefiting from being able to supply these products to people who use these SNAP benefits. So if you live in a rural agricultural community and they have a lot of farms that give out fruits and vegetables and things like that, they have livestock, all this other stuff. If those things can't be bought because people are not getting their SNAP benefits because we are in a government shutdown, then those things are going to be sitting on the shelf. Some of them may expire, and then they're going to say, okay, well, we don't need this much stuff because people aren't buying this much anymore. And then people are going to start using more of the community-based models that help them be able to get food. There are a lot of places out there that provide meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, weekly meals, and things like that, and they do it without you having to do a lot of work behind it. So people are now sharing these things to each other to say, hey, we know November is coming up and you may not be able to get the benefits you need. Here's what we found that will be able to help you. So I would encourage anybody in their community, if you know places that will allow people to be able to get food, possibly even housing while they're going through this, please share that information out to where you can so that other people who might need that assistance will be able to get it. I did read an article about sheds, housing sheds in Greensboro. So there were temporary housing sheds that were going to be used during the colder months, and they were for the unhoused. And I thought this was a great temporary solution, but I wanted to see what the long-term solution is going to be as well, because this is great as a stepping stone. And I even thought about this before myself. You know, I was like, hey, container housing, that'd be great. But they came up with the shed housing. I mean, it's great regardless. If somebody is housed and they are not having to worry about sleeping on the street in 20 below weather, I am okay with that. But what is the permanent solution that we could put into place to help people with housing? Because a lot of people that are without housing, they're not bad people as people think they are. They are people, some people actually choose to live unhoused. And sometimes I envy them. Every time I have to pay a bill for my house, I absolutely envy them. I see them and I said, you know what? They decided to get out of the system. And that's something that a lot of us can't do. They decide to get away from capitalism. And that's something that, you know, we in the Green Party are not capitalists. We are anti-capitalism. We are still in a system that requires us to participate in capitalism some type of way by either going to the gas station, going to certain grocery stores because they're the only ones that are in our area. We are forced to deal with capitalism in some way, shape, form, or fashion, but that doesn't mean that capitalism will overtake our ability to change things. So that's what we talk about, a real safety net. There are so many communities that are standing up right now and saying, our community deserves better. And they are looking for some place that they can agree with that says, yes, you deserve better. So in those terms, when you have those community organizations that are trying to do the best that they can, help them because it's needed. The fourth pillar is democracy. We demand public financing of elections, open debates, and more representative voting systems. Well, we can all see that the disastrous bill that calls corporations to be humans has now allowed corporations to matter more to the politicians than the people that they rely on to vote for them. And I can honestly say that going back to the Obama era, I realized that something was wrong. I realized that something was wrong. I realized I was swinging with the wrong team and I needed to do something about it. And since then, I have come over to the Green Party and I have worked tirelessly getting out information. And this is what Green Party Tea is about, dispelling that information and letting people know we're the only people power party here. So while other parties have their corporate overlords and they are getting paid through them to do certain things, have bills a certain way, they will literally lobby, write the bill, hand it to somebody, they don't even read it, and they present it to Congress. And it might not be a bill that actually needs anything, that does anything for the constituents. The one other thing that I despise wholeheartedly is putting bills together so that if we do this, then y'all have to give us that. We don't have to do that. We can separate bills out into exactly what we need. If we wanted to get a high-speed railway system, we should not also have anything in that bill that has to do with education or any type of other thing. It should just be about what it needs to be about, and that is high-speed rail. Yet there's always a caveat. If I vote yes to this, you have to put this in this bill so that I can get this. And what we see is political haberdashery. And both sides will say, well, hey, we had to concede to this so we can get that. And at the end of the day, they're working for the same team. And there's no going around that. When the Green Party candidate Butch Ware for governor in California was going to a debate or wanted to go to a debate for Politico, they shut him out. Now, why would you shut out a voice of a third party candidate for a governor debate when he's on the ballot? It's because you're not allowing the people to see the choices that they have. And people have more than one choice. And I say more than one choice because even though we have a quote unquote two-party system, we actually have a monopoly. And you can see that if you go to AIPAC Tracker, you can see that both sides are getting funded by the same people. During the election period, the Democrats were funding radical Republicans so that they could face them in the primaries and win. And the Republicans were doing the same for the Democrats. So they were funding each other the whole time. But who loses in the end is the people. Because your money that you donated to a campaign went to somebody else's campaign who they didn't even want to have in office in the first place. Why is that allowed to happen? So what about ranked choice voting? That's a voting system we can all get behind. Say, for instance, I'm just going to use this and kind of give you a little bit of what ranked choice voting would look like. Ranked choice voting allows you to rank the people that are on the ballot of your choice from 1 through whatever. So if there is a runoff on it, it trickles down and you've already voted in your state. So if you have 4 presidential options, you get to rate them 1 through 4. You cannot rate the other ones if you want to as well. However, the fact is, it is representative of what you would like to see. So that means I'm gonna make up some names right here. If Mrs. Clark was running as a Democrat, Mr. Johnson was running as a Republican, Mrs. Carter is running for the Green Party, and Mr. Nichols was running for the Libertarian Party. Let's go with the Libertarian Party. You have 4 people. When you get to the ballot, you just don't bubble in the one that you like. You get to rank them 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you wanted to vote for the Green Party first, Libertarian, Republican, Democrat, you could do that. And it would just run off until the person with the most votes got it. But it would be representative. It's not a winner take all system. It is representative of what you got. So at the end of it, if a state had 28 electoral college votes, then they have 4 people. They will break that down into what percentage that you got of that vote, and you'd be able to get that amount of electoral college voters. That is representative of the people. Winner take all is not representative of the people, because there is no good way to say, okay, it was 52 to 48. Winner take all. That's not good governance. That's something that we do in voting for Congress and things like that. But as far as representing the actual people, the people that we're putting into office, those people, that is what we have to rely on when we are voting. And if there are more choices on the ballot, we deserve to be able to vote for those choices. And people will be able to do that, just like in the primaries. But reader beware, you're in for a scare. Some ranked choice voting, the way that states set them up, does not actually represent a voting system that is representative of the people. Some states will have a ranked choice voting during the primary that has all the candidates on there, and there's only 2 spots. So you will have a primary with probably 10 candidates, and they could be from different parties, but only the top 2 are going to get there. And you see how that's a monopoly when you have the duopoly parties, and they are going to get those top 2 votes regardless. It doesn't allow for representation. So in that case, we have to watch when there's a referendum or somebody is talking about ranked choice voting, how we are going about that ranked choice voting. Okay? Because we actually want it to work for us, not against us. Those are some of the things that those 4 pillars encompass that we should all be aware of, because they affect us on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So, how do we go from outrage to action? In these last few minutes, as we're coming to a close, I want to leave you not with despair, but with direction. And this is an actual call to a movement, not a call to rally and go home, not a call to say no more of this and then you still vote for the same thing. This is a call to movement, to an actionable response. Here's what you can do. First thing is educate. Look up Project 2025. You need to understand the full agenda being advanced during this chaos. Don't let it catch you off guard. Do not think that just because Project 2025 is being held up under the umbrella of the Republicans, that the Democrats are not also on the side as well, because they vote for those things too. So when we're talking about education, we need to get educated on the bills that our representatives pass, the things that they are doing that support the constituents who have voted for them. Second, we need support. You have a representative. Call them, email them, fax them, take a letter to their office, whatever you need to do. Get in contact with your local, state, and federal representatives and demand that they support bills like the Emergency Relief for Federal Workers Act and bills that will essentially do good for the people. That can include universal health care for all. And that could include something like, let's do something about these student loans, Jess. I haven't forgotten about you, Joe Biden. You're going to pay my student loans. Yeah, because you said it. So I'm going off your word. I'm just saying, you got to pay them, Joe. Let's get it. Just saying. And another thing you can do to support, donate to local food banks who are feeling the strain. In November, you have a holiday season. I do not celebrate Thanksgiving. I celebrate Ancestral Remembrance Day because to me, that's what it's about. It is about a day that my ancestors were able to get together and have a meal. And that is what I celebrate. We talk about the people that came before us. We talk about the good things that are going on with us. And we enjoy having a day that we don't have to worry about much, but coming together. And this is a truly important time to remember that you have elderly neighbors, you have disabled neighbors, you have people that will not get their STAT benefits this month. So if you can donate to a local food bank, it would be wonderful. Now, here's the thing that I have been telling people because these things were told to me. It is really great to have powdered milk, but if you have powdered milk and you don't have water, it's not really the same. So donating things in a way that someone who is unhoused would be able to use them is something that we would like to see. Just like having spaghetti noodles with no water to boil it, or if they're not housed, they would have no way to heat it. We have to think about those things. So it's not just about the food itself, it's about the method of them actually being able to cook those things. So some people may not have microwaves, some people may not have stoves. Shelf stable things that are ready to eat are some of the best things that you can do. And providing things like napkins, forks, spoons, things of that nature. That is something that is vital to those communities. Even if you donate socks, underwear, and I have been thinking about something that I saw on the Green live stream before, and it was, I can't remember the name of the bag, but it was just something to say you're still important, and here is this for you. And I when I figure out what that was, I will definitely give it to you guys. So no worries. Third thing we got to do definitely is organize. And what does that mean? Find your local Green Party chapter or other advocacy groups that are standing for these pillars. Attend a town hall. Run for a local office. And here's the thing. If you live in a state that has a third party ballot line, go for it. Have fun. If you live in a state where you don't want to run as a Republican or a Democrat and you don't have a ballot line and you need help with ballot access, come on over to gp.org and get to know the Ballot Access Committee and how they can help you get there, especially if you already have a Green Party set up in your state. Because I know there are a few states right now that will definitely be going through it. So we want to see that happen. Okay. And how you can get to your states, go to gp.org/state_parties. And that will allow you to find your state party and get organized. It will give you the parties by state. you will get, most of the time, their website, email address, and their social media links. And having their social media links is very important because anybody can make up a social media account and do whatever they want to do. But we don't post social media links on the Green Party US website that we have not verified through the actual parties. So starting there is a great thing to do. If you're deciding to run for local office, hit up your local Green Party, your state Green Party, and see what the requirements are. Work with them to get everything taken care of, because we do at the federal, well, at the national level for the Green Party, we have two different committees that actually help candidates. The first committee is the campaign. Oh my goodness, I'm about to forget it. Coordinated Campaign Committee. That's what it is. And the Coordinated Campaign Committee helps out with state and local elections. So if you are a candidate that is running for a state or local office, you would need to get in touch with the Coordinated Campaign Committee, and they will be able to help you out in some ways to be able to go forward with your campaign. But you would need to talk to them and see how that would work. We also have the Green Congressional Campaign Committee. The Green Congressional Campaign Committee is for federal candidates such as U.S. House and Senate. So if you are running for those, you would hop on over to the Green Campaign Congressional Committee, and we would be able to help you there. There are many different ways that the help is done, so go ahead and get started early. Some places, December is the last day for people to, well, December is last month for people to sign up for the federal elections that's coming down the board. So go ahead and get yourself out there. There's no problem with even if you're active with your state party, trying to get on some of these committees or learning about them so that you can learn more about your campaign. There are actually on the Green Party US YouTube page, you can go and see different videos about social media 101 for candidates, which Holly Hart did one recently. So we have resources that are available to you. And if you have any questions, I'm always here, so you can always ask. And finally, the shutdown will eventually end. But the systematic rot it has revealed, that will remain. The 4 pillars are our blueprint for government that serves people, not power, that protects our planet, not polluters, that builds peace and practices justice. So we want to keep those 4 pillars in mind as we move forward. You can go to gp.org and look over our bylaws, our platforms, the different committees that we have. Find your state. Find out more things about being in the Green Party, volunteering. We need lots of volunteers. And these volunteers can be for different states. If you are here and you want to do some phone banking for somebody in a different state, there is no problem with that whatsoever. We have done it because, hey, it's something that we can do. And if you live in a state where nobody's running on the ballot, but the state next door is running, you can help them in any way. It could be by donating, it could be by volunteering, it could be by sharing a post. It can be very simple. Sometimes just like and reposting something can be what you really need to get that person out there. So I want to leave you all with good feelings and not despair. Also want to thank you for sharing this hour with me. And I would love for you to join me next Sunday for more Green Party Tea Time. And lastly, keep the faith and keep organizing. We need you, and we would love to have you as a part of the Green Party so that we can reform this system to make it something that actually works for the people. And with that, I am saying peace. Peace. See y'all next Sunday.